The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a Board Certified Behavior Analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod. We're webcasting to you live from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders headquarters in Tarzana, California. It's Thursday. I don't know where the week went, and we are more than halfway through July as well. So welcome to the program. We are going to be here with you for the next 2 hours live talking about autism from a 360-degree perspective. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about today and some pretty exciting stuff to delve into. And you guys have sent us some questions on Facebook and through a couple of the other different ways that you can get a hold of us. So we're going to be addressing those and anything that comes in on the live feature. So we're going to start out by reminding you of all the different ways that you can interact with us. If you haven't already, if you haven't been writing in on our Facebook page or been writing in on our live format, Emily's going to cycle through some of the different ways that you can not only get a hold of us, but that you can also watch the show because we're available in many different formats. So take a look at those, and while you're doing that, I'm going to remind you that there's only one way to watch us live. That's at www.autism-live.com. Although I have a thing to talk to you about how you might be able to watch us in another way with your help. Remind me to do that. In any case, so when you go to our live site, autism-live.com, you'll see a desktop there. There is a computer screen, and on that computer screen, unless you're watching us on an iPad, that our show should be playing live there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Well, not live, recorded. We break into that live feed 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday, from 10 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time. That equals to 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and then you can do the math wherever you are in the world. And there are some exceptions, like we won't be here live tomorrow because we're going on location tomorrow to film something to show you later on that we're excited about. I'll talk about that later too. Remind me. In any case, also on that, on our website is a white box. It says questions we're answering right now. That box, we're trying to leave it active 24 hours a day, 7 days a week now, so that whenever you tune in, if you have a question or a comment or a suggestion, something that you want to say, make sure that you put your cursor there, type away, hit enter. It shows up here on the screen and I can address it in the next live show. Now, here are a couple of things that you need to know about that. First of all, if you are watching us, let's say you turn this on and you're in London and we are not live during the time that you're watching it, and you see something on the show and you want to comment on it, feel free to do that and we'll talk about it in the next live show. But a lot of you are commenting and saying something and I don't know what it's hooked up to because I don't know where in the feed you were watching. So if you say, hey, you're talking about inclusion and I want to know from your guest so-and-so this and that, then I'll be much more efficient at hooking you up with that information. But if you write in and say, I want to know more about that, I have no idea what that is. See what I'm saying? So I hope that you'll be as specific as possible in what you write. Also, you need to know that we don't have any idea who you are. We aren't having you log in. We aren't having you give us your private information or even your name. We don't know what your IP address is. We have no way of contacting you and knowing who you are. So if you want us to get back to you specifically outside of the show, you do need to include something, an email address or something. We won't share it with anybody else. We don't. We won't put you on a mailing list. We don't do that. We want you to get the information and we want you to get it in a free format, but be as specific as possible what it is you want to know and where we can get in contact with you if that's something you want to do. Otherwise, we'll just cover it here on the live show, which we pretty much do anyway. Okay. And having said all of that, I also want to remind you that if you do want us to get a hold of you on a regular basis, we don't have a mailing list. We're not sending out email blasts and that kind of thing, but we do have a newsletter that we send out once a month. It has behind the scenes information, sometimes behind the scenes links, and there is also almost monthly a contest. So really want to encourage you to sign up for our free newsletter. If you go to our Facebook page, like us while you're there. We love it when you like us. And you don't even have to love us, and we love it. If you like us, we love it. So, and sign up for the free newsletter then, and you'll get it the first of the month. You won't get inundated with stuff, but it is something that I think is really beneficial. Emily works really hard on it. It's one page. It's very colorful. It's sweet, as they say. Hope you'll participate with us with that. And for those of you who've been writing in overwhelmingly and saying, why can't I watch the show live on my tablet device, that it's really bumming you out? There are a bunch of you who have written in and said that, and we've been looking into different ways of doing it. Here's the easiest way. Go to our YouTube page and subscribe to our YouTube page. We just need a few more of those, and then YouTube will help to stream us live so that you can watch that on your device. And we could get that done very quickly, but we need for you and your friends to subscribe on our YouTube page. That is what will get it done. So I'm asking you to please do that, and then we'll be available live on YouTube and on our website. It will be fabulous. And for those of you, there was one woman in particular who I met at the TACA picnic who came running up to me, and she said, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to meet you. And it was so wonderful to meet her and hear about her child. And she said, you know, when I watch you is when I'm doing my dishes. And she said, I wish I could watch it live, but I can't because I'm on a tablet. But she said, I take my tablet and I put it on YouTube and I set it up. And while I'm doing dishes, I'll watch what's happening. I just thought that was awesome. I'm so impressed with so many of you because I didn't have it. The thought of doing dishes and getting something else done when my child was in his first 2 years was overwhelming to me. So hooray for you. And I want to make it so that you can watch that live while you're doing the dishes. How fabulous would that be? We just need a few more people to like us, subscribe on YouTube. Go to our YouTube page. All right. We like to start every morning. And by the way, I don't want to forget to say I'm not an expert in autism. I always got to squeeze that in, right? I'm a mom. My child was diagnosed with autism at 2.5. He's now 10. He's luscious. He is absolutely luscious. We've been spending so much time the last couple of days talking about how we're going to get information to Governor Jerry Brown because he keeps talking about being fiscally responsible. Okay, I want him to be fiscally responsible because we've had too many times where the money has run out. None of us want to do that. But what he doesn't know and what he doesn't understand is that the money that the state of California spent on my child and the money that we're asking, which is infinitely smaller than what was spent on my child. Because remember, my child got ABA when insurance companies weren't covering it at all. Zip-a-rooney, right? Now insurance companies are on the hook for the vast majority of this bill. But there's still a portion of the bill that needs to be paid in order for families to get it. And we've been asking Jerry Brown to relent on some of this legislation that he's passing that's really making it impossible for parents to get help with that. And we want him to see that why this is fiscally responsible. For the money that was spent for my son early on for him to get ABA, now he's going to have a full and rich life. He's going to go to college and he's probably going to go on a scholarship. Thank you very much. And he is going to be a productive member of society. He's going to be one of those people that solves a problem instead of becomes a situation where more money has to be spent on him. So the amount of money that was spent on him versus the amount of money that they would have had to spend on him over his lifetime had he not gotten those services is vast. I'm one of the luckiest people that ever was. Don't think that I don't know it, but we want to make sure that more of you get lucky. But again, I'm not an expert in autism. I try to be an expert in my child. Yeah, that's not going so well either. But I'm in this on this journey with you in this battle to end the more debilitating aspects of autism. We're not trying to, there was a big discussion yesterday about, Seattle Hospital saying that they wanted to wipe out childhood cancer, diabetes, and autism. And there are people who are offended and said, we're not trying to wipe out autism because there are people who identify themselves with autism, that they are autism. But I want to wipe out the debilitating aspects of autism, and I want to help you get the funding and support and services that you need in order to get hooked up with that, because I know firsthand what it does to a life when you don't have it, and I know firsthand what it does to a life when you do have it. And believe me, you want it. So we're working on that. In any case, I'm not an expert. All right, we like to start every morning with something that we fondly refer to as the jargon of the day. Yes, the jargon du jour. Today's is super duper important. This is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym. And today's is an acronym. You ready? It's BIP. BIP. What in the hey nani nani does this mean? First, we give you an actual definition, then we give you a somewhat watered down, simpler version, but hopefully something that really hits you where you are today. Okay, but the actual definition for this one is not bad, especially considering that on Tuesday we covered what an FBA was. So the BIP, what is it? Or the BIP, as a lot of people call it. Some of us call it the BIP. It's a behavior intervention plan. Our actual definition, it's an action plan based on observations made in the FBA that outlines how a team will improve difficult behavior that is inhibiting a child's success in school and other environments. So, your child is spitting. And it's not just about the spitting, because spitting prevents the child from making friends. Spitting, and we had somebody who wrote in last week who said their child is spitting and then making designs on whatever there is, on their arm, on a desk, on a table. And the child is being, this is really reinforcing for the child. So if they have 2 seconds, they're doing this. Well, eventually this is going to impede the child's ability to learn, because the teacher is doing a new concept and they're doing writing and the child's busy spitting on the desk, right? That's the worst case scenario. But also there's a health concern, because what happens when the child has a cold? And if your child is compulsively spitting on a desk and drawing and they have a cold, the school's going to want you to stay home for 2 days anyway, but then they're going to keep the child home longer because they don't want them to be a health risk to other people. And of course, there's that social stigma. The kids are going to be like, I don't want to play with that child because they're spitting, right? Think about every single behavior and all the different things that it impedes our children from doing. I don't know about you, but I was raised that when you meet an adult and you're going on a job interview and, whatever phase of my life it was you make eye contact, because that's a sign of respect and it's a sign of confidence and it's a sign of knowing what you're doing, right? For our kids who have difficulty making eye contact, we don't want them closed off from the success that comes from being able to make eye contact with someone. We know we can teach that behavior, and we know that we can minimize challenging behaviors. How do we do it? First, we do an FBA, the functional behavior assessment, to see what is getting in the way, what's rewarding this behavior, and then we make the behavior intervention plan. So our watered down version of what a BIP or a BIP is, it's a concise plan based on child-specific data for successfully managing challenging behavior. Here's the important part that I put in here, because this is what I want you to know for your day-to-day. It protects the child from forms of discipline that are not effective, punitive, and random. How many times, and I'm so thrilled because in just a few minutes we're going to have the teacher, somebody who won a Teacher of the Year award, a great teacher who's been dealing with autism for many years, and so excited to talk to her about what she does and what works in her classroom. But how many times have we seen in the last couple of years reports of the teacher who didn't know what to do for the behavior, and so she stuck the child in a gymnasium bag and zipped it shut? That was her idea. When I say random, come on. That was her idea of how to deal with a challenging behavior, because the child kept talking and talking and talking and making inappropriate noises. I know, I'll zip them into a gym bag. That's random, folks. Or the teacher who misunderstood what a safe space is, that some of our kids need a space that's sensory safe to go into to decompress. And so, the school district who decided that what they were going to do is get these cardboard boxes, but that were in the shape of little houses, and let the kids decorate them, and they can go in with crayons and they can decorate them. So it's not quite as bad as a cardboard box sounds, but they were supposed to be for a place for a kid to go in and de-stress. Not a punishment, right? If we see that the kid is starting to reach, critical mass, letting them take a time out, let them take a break, go into a cocoon space, chill out for a moment, take a moment, breathe, have a little bit of quiet, not as much sensory stimulation. We know that can be really effective for some kids, but the teacher didn't get it. She didn't understand that that's what it was for. So every time the child would misbehave, she would sentence him to go sit in his cardboard box. Well, that's not what was on the behavior intervention plan. Right? And, if you have a good behavior intervention plan and the teachers and the staff, like how about when the teacher says, okay, everybody go out on the playground, and he or she does not go with them, the staff on the playground need to understand the behavior intervention plan, right? Or we're going to run into problems. But when you have the behavior intervention plan and everybody is trained to the behavior intervention plan, first of all, you don't have these mishaps, and you have a quick and immediate recourse if someone does not follow it. How about the substitute teacher who, there was a child who compulsively liked to touch other kids' ears. And the substitute teacher saw that, had not read the BIP, and so every time he would do it, because she thought it's what would work, she would go up to him and pinch his ears. So he went home with bruised ears because, but the behavior intervention plan, you need to know what it is as a mom, as a teacher. You need to understand it, and you need to make sure that other people understand it. Now, you have to have one first. And it should be, there's a place on the first page of your IEP that says BIP attached. Make sure that that is checked and that you have approved the BIP and it is stapled to the whole thing. And we're going to talk a little bit later on about how you can make sure that the IEP and the BIP has the best possible circumstance for being followed once the fall starts. I'm just thinking about the teacher who was pinching the ears, and that word came to mind. It was a Freudian slip, because it's foolish. Come on, there are great teachers. And then there are people who should not be in the classroom. And I think we all understand that. And fortunately, we're going to be talking a little bit later on to one of the great teachers. So that will be a lovely thing. Okay, so BIP essential. Essential, it's a form of protection. I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh, once you have the BIP, everybody's going to follow it. They're not. But it gets attached to that legal document, and they have a legal responsibility to do that. And if they don't, and I think we need to be preventative first. Let's try to get everybody on board, get them excited about the BIP, a good teacher, a good person working with children, whether it's yard duty or in the lunch line. They want to have tools. And this is where we give them tools. If they are foolish and decide not to use the tools, you have huge legal recourse. Huge legal recourse. So when I hear stories about the kids who get handcuffed, or the 10-year-old child that the teacher locked herself in the room and called the police because the 10-year-old child was taunting her. These people need a BIP. All right, we're going to move off of that. So we always have a question of the day for you. Our question today, we've been talking about school kinds of things. And so our question today is, what goal would you like your child to achieve in the coming school year? Hopefully you already have an IEP and you have a list of goals. This year it was great. One of the first writing assignments that my son's teacher did this last year, because he was in fourth grade, was to write what your goals for the school year are. We took them and mounted them on the kitchen wall, and so that every time we walk in and out of the kitchen, we notice the goals. And I thought they were great goals. I think he made great progress on the 3 goals that he had on that. He still is working on them. I don't think we've arrived, but they were the kind of goals that it would be unlikely that he would arrive in this moment in time. But he made substantive progress, and he made progress on almost all of his IEP goals as well. I would say that his handwriting, we're not there yet. And we're prioritizing it, which is why we're not there yet, because we've said we don't want it to hold up. We're working on him being able to do other things. This year, in fact, I'm sending him to school with a labeler. I have been through, 3 IEPs now where they've expressed concern about his handwriting. And it's not that I've been unconcerned, but we've been more concerned about other things. And when I said, what's the biggest concern about this? They said, well, he has to be able to do worksheets. And this makes me a little crazy because I'm not a teacher who loves the whole worksheet thing. I understand, it's shown to be effective with a lot of kids, but it's not my favorite thing. So in any case, what we finally came to is that we got him a labeler, and so when he does a worksheet, he'll type out his answer on the labeler, it'll spit out the label, he'll paste it on the worksheet. He can read it and study from it, they can read it, we can continue on with the goals, and we can work on the handwriting completely separately and not have it be the battle of and lose points over it. So I'm looking to see what that does this year. I'm very excited about that. Sometimes you just got to think outside the box, right? Okay, but I want to hear your answers to the question. We will have time later on today to get to your answers. What goals or what goal are you looking for this year? I am a firm believer you got to name it to claim it. And once you put attention on something and say, here's what we're working on, and really mostly IEP, what we're working on this year are social goals on the playground. So I'm looking to see that big jump this year. Looking to see that. And I want to hear from you. What are you looking to see? Okay, we always have a topic of the week. Clearly, we're at Thursday, so if you haven't guessed already, our topic this week is success in the classroom. If it seems odd to you, I grew up in upstate New York, and this is the week always in New York that Crazy Eddie would do his "It's Christmas in July" commercials. And I feel a little bit like this, like people go, success in the classroom, you're in the middle of summer break, what are you talking about? Except that we know that planning and forethought and foreloading and doing antecedent modifications are really successful with our kids. So if we take mid-June and mid-July and say we're going to work on tweak, it really makes a lasting effect. So it's a little crazy, Eddie. It's Christmas in July, but it's effective. Okay, so we are going to talk about that and things that we can be doing this week that will help set our kids up for success. In fact, some of the things that we're talking about today, we're hoping, we don't have confirmation, but we're hoping that we have Ashley Colis for Good Stuff this week. Our very special guest, I'm not sure that I'm pronouncing her name right, but Elizabeth Douge or Doug, I'm not sure, won a Teacher of the Year award. She works with kids with autism. We're very excited that we're going to be joined by her in just a few minutes on Skype. And then we're going to talk about summer compliance, really? Because if you can get compliance in the summer, then compliance in the fall is going to be that much easier. And actually, summer's the best time to work on compliance. So all of that and more. And we have a bunch of questions that you guys have written in on the Facebook page. So excited to go through all of that. Unfortunately, we do not have our BCBA, Angela Persicki, joining us today. She is under the weather, and we hope she gets better soon. But that leaves us time to do other things. So, like all autism parents, we have a plan and we're ready to do something else, right? Right? Because stuff changes. So onward and upward. We're going to take a break and we'll be back after these messages. Stick with us. Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod, and I'm here at the Taka Family Picnic with my family. Yay! There are so many fun things to do and see here, and we're going to get started. Right now, we're going to go get our picture taken. Stick with us. Okay, so we just got our family photo done. Let's go see what else they have fun to do here at the Taka Family Fun Picnic. Come on, you guys, let's go. You said you watch our little show?
Yeah.
We love you, Diana. We are here with Kristen Selby Gonzalez, and you are a mom. You're a parent of a child on the spectrum?
Absolutely. He was diagnosed when he was 2 years, 4 months, and he's 11 now.
And how's he doing?
He's doing awesome. We were told he was never going to look, he was never going to talk, that the best thing we could do was get him to use a spoon and a fork and to get him potty trained by the time he was 8, because the doctors told us he'd be in a group home. And today he's looking, he's talking more, he's riding a bike. Yes, he's potty trained. He does gymnastics twice a week. He's learning to read and write, and the sky's really the limit for him.
Now, I understand that you also work with a foundation that helps and supports Taka.
I was appointed as president and chairman of a nonprofit called the Autism Hope Alliance.
So cool, and it all sprang from being a mom.
It all sprang from my little boy. I mean, honestly, he is the voice. I just kind of get to do the legwork, but it's him pushing me. I had 3 miscarriages before him. He is my only child, and to me, this is like what I'm here to do right now. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's the greatest reward when I have another mom come up to me who just recently got diagnosed and says, I need help. And so us veterans out here, that's what we call ourselves. We've been here for a while, right? Our job is to help those other moms understand they don't have to reinvent the wheel. The path has already been laid, and all they have to do is kind of follow the path and see what makes sense for them.
Amen, sister. Amen. Right now, I am with the Riley family, a wonderful Taka proud family. We're with the mom, Holly, daughter, Fiona, and Quinn, who's down there. Tell us what Taka means to you.
I've been helped so much by other parents who came before us with our journey with autism, and we've been so fortunate that Quinn has done so well. He's considered recovered from autism. We're really happy to be able to volunteer and help out because, you know, we've gotten so much from the other families.
And I want to know, as a sibling, is this a really fun event for you?
Oh my gosh, it is so fun. Plus the samples. It's not usual that I have all this food that I can eat this and I can eat this.
Do you keep the whole family GFCF?
Yeah, it's important to know Fiona is gluten-free, casein-free. We're also soy-free. Quinn can't do corn, so we've got lots of foods we're always avoiding, and it's really nice to be able to be in a place where we can just sample a lot of things, and you know, you still have to be careful.
Can I go play now, please?
I love that, please. Tell me one thing. What's your favorite thing at this picnic?
The jousting and the bounce house, period.
Good answer. All right, go have fun and play.
My name is Summer Dabbs. I'm here from Fullerton Cares, and we are at the Taka Family Picnic event today. Fullerton Cares is an autism coalition, and we strive to bring awareness, acceptance, and action, meaning fundraising, to all resources for autism, especially the Fullerton School District autism programs. We're here to provide the food for all the guests at the picnic. We have GFCF options for those who require that diet, and we also have killer epic burritos for everyone else. We are also offering frozen bananas, chocolate-covered bananas that are absolutely fabulous. So we're here to help out Taka and donate some food for the cause.
What I'm here with is Beauty Society. We've got the families thinking about what they're putting in their bodies, but we also need to think about what we're putting on our skin. And what's really something is there's a lot of chemicals, a lot of toxins out there that we're trying to get rid of. Our skin is absorbing that. So Beauty Society is here because we have a lot of things that we don't put in them. We don't put parabens, there's no sulfates, there's no perfume. It's also gluten-free. Some other things that I have, of course, is makeup, which is always fun. And I love teaching teenagers, especially kids on the spectrum, how to take care of their skin. Because what we find is a lot of the kids tend to have more acne that are on the spectrum. And I want to teach them things that they can use for the rest of their life.
Lauren Kim is here with us, and you were just telling me that you have a really nice position. Tell me what your position is.
Hi, I'm the president of Troy High School's Autism Youth Ambassadors. The AYA mission is to break down the barriers between those with autism and those without.
And you said you've been doing this for 3 years. Who started this? Whose idea was it, and why did they come up with the idea?
Two amazing people. They were the founders. Their names are Ralph and Minaj. They've come up with the idea because they were personally affected with family members who had autism. Our advisor, Mrs. Lavelle, she has a son with autism. They came up to her and asked to start an autism awareness club at school.
Did you get involved because friends of yours got involved, or is there autism in your family, or did you know somebody?
Well, there is autism in my life, not specifically in my family, but of course my mother's friends, sons are affected, and even my personal friends are affected at school.
One of the best things about coming to an event like this is getting to meet people that you've only talked to on Facebook or an email. And so I'm so thrilled because I just got to meet Nancy Dulai.
Hi, do you want to talk?
You want to say something to us?
Macabag. I have no idea what that was, but okay.
You're a mom who has been on this journey only a short period of time, but you're already giving back. You were here today and you did face painting for all these kids. We saw all this beautiful artwork.
Did you like it?
It was gorgeous. Gorgeous stuff on their face. And so you're making your way on this journey.
Yes. And Card and Skills has been a huge, and your show has been huge. And I refer everybody to them. I'm like, if they don't know what to do, I'm like, go check this out. It's a good site. It's, lots of information. It's been great.
So nice to meet you.
Can you say bye, Shannon?
Do you blow kisses?
Can you give a kiss? She wants to kiss you. She's trying to reach over. Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm so excited because joining us via Skype right now, you know how I always talk about the fact that there are some amazing teachers out there. And we have one with us, Elizabeth Douge. I hope I said it right. Did I get it right?
Yes, you got it right. Thank you.
And you won a Teacher of the Year award this last year. So first of all, we want to start by congratulating you and saying yippee, because we love it when good teachers are acknowledged and rewarded for their good work. So thank you so much for your good work, and I'm thrilled that you got rewarded for it. Tell our viewers a little bit about the award and what you do.
Well, I was amazed to get the award because I really wasn't expecting it. Last summer around this time, I did a lot of personal research on effective classroom strategies for kids with autism. And the motto that I created last year was setting students up for success.
Love it.
That's the lens by which I view classroom instruction, because I think one of the problems is we accidentally, as educators, set students up for failure, but especially when dealing with kids with autism. But if you create programs with that as your vision, setting students up for success, it's amazing. It's amazing what can take place in the classroom. So that was my motto for the entire school year. And in everything that I did, I asked myself, okay, if I create this type of a lesson plan, will that set a child up for success or failure? If my staff is not adequately trained by me, will that set my kids up for success or failure? If I'm not adequately versed on behavior intervention strategies and, just different classroom approaches, what will that set my kids up for? And that was my vision for the whole year. Well, it's a beautiful vision. And one of the things I like about it is it's very simplistic, but man, it really cuts to what we all want to do. Exactly. So, and we were talking earlier about how once you put focus on something and once you get clear on something, I imagine it just moves you in a direction that much faster. Precisely. And the whole point was for me to get something that was straight to the point, because with my background in academia, I've been given a lot of theory. And the theory sounds very good. It looks very beautiful on paper. It looks very good on textbooks. But in practice, some of that is not as applicable as I would like it to be. So I wanted something that you can put into practice and that was effective, that wasn't just theory, but that led to results. And we got some amazing results out of our kids this year. It was fabulous. Well, I want to talk about that a little bit, but I want to start by talking about what population are you serving as a teacher? I'm serving kids with autism. I've been working with autism now for 7 years. But I also have some students who are not autistic, but who benefited from some of the interventions that we use in our program.
And are your kids, are some of them included? Do you have a mix of kids that are going to special day programs and inclusion?
Basically, most of my students, I have 16. We started out with 12 and it went up to 16. Most of them are in the special day class all day, but we do have kids who mainstream out. It just depends on, the individual case.
Okay.
That's something, though, that we will be changing this year. We're going to do a lot more inclusion this year. Last year, my focus was more so on getting some of the behaviors under control and getting the academic learning, increasing some of the communication skills. But now that they're communicating more, now that we're seeing, some of our kids who are nonverbal, they're speaking a lot more. And now that their behaviors are more socially appropriate, this year we're going to do a lot more mainstreaming.
And what school district do you work with, Elizabeth?
I work in Desert Mountain region for San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools.
And so we should let it, because we're watched internationally. That's in California, Southern California, very removed from, not very removed, but you're quite a ways from LA.
Yes.
So that we let people know what's happening in your area of the woods. And you said you got some great results. So you had some kids who were nonverbal, and now their functional communication is raised considerably?
Yes, I wouldn't say that it's at their appropriate age level. However, we've seen some kids who've gone from not communicating at all to using words and, communicating with us. The main thing that I did was I created the classroom in a way that was very language enriched. Yeah. And in addition to using PECs and some, communication devices, I also invested into language specific curriculum. Uh-huh. One was actually an ELD curriculum, which is designed for students who are second language learners. But I found that the methods that are used to teach second language learners are very useful for children with autism. So we incorporated that into our classroom, even though most of our students are not second language learners. I also used a program called Language for Learning, and we do this every day. And it's a language curriculum that goes from receptive skills, just touch the truck, touch the tree, all the way up to speaking in sentences. So having those curriculum together and using them every day in the classroom, we saw kids communicating a lot more.
This makes me so excited because, there's so much fear and trepidation for parents when they're sending their child off to school, and, you don't know what you're going to get. And I always like to remind people there's a possibility that their child is going to land in a classroom with someone like you, somebody who gets it, somebody who's passionate, who I can just imagine that you're the kind of teacher that during your time that's off, you're constantly problem solving.
In fact, that's what I've been doing. This is summer. I'm supposed to be on break, and I'm sitting at my computer, and I'm doing research on autism. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I'm on all sorts of, websites looking for different approaches to try with our kids. And this year, my biggest goal is to bring more science and technology into the classroom, because I know that that's where it's at. I know that that's where a lot of the success is, and I believe that our kids can really become, great inventors, mathematicians. I believe in them. They just need to be given a shot.
I agree with you too, and my goodness, you make me so excited. And you and I had talked about this earlier before we came live on the air, that you're really interested in research. So tell us a little bit about that.
When I first started teaching autism, it was very difficult, very, very hard, because a lot of what I learned in my credential classes, they were very good for, let's say, more general ed students or, disabled students who were not impacted by some of the issues related to autism. And I also learned a lot of different strategies such as PECs, structured teaching. But my challenge was, how do we take all of these methodologies and put them together to create autism classrooms? And it's actually a challenge in the autism world, and that's why I believe in more autism awareness. But I want to see more of the research on autism therapies. I want to see them better applied in the classroom. What we've seen is a lot of kids who do very well in a one-on-one therapeutic session, but the minute they come into the classroom, sometimes we see a disconnect between what they're achieving in a therapy session and what's going on in the classroom. I feel we need to collaborate more as educators, as therapists, speech therapists, ABA therapists, etc., and work together and create programs that will effectively help our kids in the classroom, not just within a therapeutic setting. So that's where my research is right now.
Well, I see why you won awards, and you're going to win more because you're an incredible young woman. One of our viewers wants to know how old the kids are that you deal with.
Right now, I have grades 2nd through 6th.
Okay.
I've had kindergarten before as well, and I've worked with high school-aged autistic students, but right now they're grades 2nd through 6th.
Wow, absolutely amazing. So let's talk a little bit about this, setting kids up for success. I told you that that's success in the classroom is really our topic this entire week, and we've been talking to parents and educators about this is the ideal time, right?
Yes.
It's kind of crazy, you know, because it's a little ways before we get back to school, but we've been giving them ideas about things to do to get our kids set up for success in the fall. So what are a couple of tips that you could be, that a parent could be doing that you would recommend for success right now?
Well, you know, I think that social stories are very helpful. If you have a child who, you know, who you've seen has benefited from social stories in the past, I think that that would help a lot. I think that the biggest problem with kids with autism that breaks my heart is their level of anxiety. So whatever a parent can do to create an environment where they're not anxious about going to school. Usually our kids, when they're too anxious about going to school, that's when we see a lot of their behavior problems occurring. So if we could just talk about school as being a safe place, school as being a caring place, school as being a place for learning. And I think it's essential, too, for parents to contact their teachers well in advance and collaborate with their teachers and see, what does your classroom look like? What are the ways that I can prepare my child for your classroom ahead of time? The challenge is we don't know what each classroom looks like. And as a result of that, it's hard for me to tell you, you know, what to say to your child. But if you know ahead of time what type of program they're going into, then you can kind of prepare your child for that.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. I love it. Now, when your kids, before they start school in the fall, will they have an opportunity to come and see the classroom before they come to school the first day?
I believe I have an open door policy with my parents. I've always said that if a parent is excluded from a classroom, that bothers me. A parent should always be able to come into the classroom and be able to volunteer and see what's going on. So they'll definitely have an opportunity to come ahead of time and whenever they want and see exactly how our program is run. If the parent, again, knows how the program is run, then they'll know how to prepare their child for the classroom. They'll know, okay, in the morning time, you're going to do circle time, you're going to have math time, this is the behavior expectation we have of you when you're in class that day. But the parent really needs to be in the classroom to see what's going on.
Well, my biggest question for you is, how can we clone you?
Oh, gosh.
Because we need an army of you. And you mentioned that you're training your staff. What suggestions can you give other teachers and other administrators of other schools to be implementing the kinds of things that you're doing?
Well, you know, I have amazing administrators, and we actually have Fridays as our minimum day, so we can utilize Fridays to train our staff members. But it's worth it to have well-trained staff. If you are a district and you are working with children with autism and your staff members are not well-trained, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
You really are, and you're setting your district up for failure. Everyone needs to be very well-versed on autism. These kids are very different, and they can do so much if we know how to work with them. So I think that the minimum days that we have, they're very helpful because we can train our staff. If districts have program specialists, especially if they're BCBAs, get them out into the classroom and have them work with your teachers. We have to be very humble. I never feel like I know everything. I'm willing to take advice from anybody, and so we have to have that level of humility to where, you know, we are willing to learn new strategies. But administrators, get your people trained.
And you are studying right now. You're working to getting your BCBA, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Well, I think that you're amazing, and I look forward to when I get to meet you face to face. And I hope that you will let us know when you have a question, because we would love to answer any questions, and we have people here that specialize in research from time to time. So please let us know if there's a question that you can answer, and I would love to count you as a resource here on the show, that if we have a question for you, that we can call you as well.
No problem. If any parents have any questions, you know, feel free to email me. Feel free to check out my Facebook page. I'm more than happy to answer questions because this is about getting these kids a better education experience.
You are remarkable, and I'm so thrilled that you're so young. Take care of yourself and live long. We need you. We need you a long time, because I can see you training the core of teachers and educators that our kids need.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Stick with us. I want to talk to you as we go away, but we're going to go to a break. And thank you so much to this wonderful Elizabeth Douge, Teacher of the Year, and well deserved. Stick with us back after these messages.
I'm Shannon Penrod, and we are here at the Gluten Free Expo. We're really excited about it. Can't wait to give you a look at all the tasty things there are to try. We are here at the Breads from Anna booth. You have been helping my family for a long time. So first of all, tell us a little bit about how this came to be.
Okay, well, I was diagnosed at age 16 with type 1 diabetes, and then in my 30s I got celiac disease, and a lot of the products that existed at that point just weren't working for me. So I made my first mix, which was gluten, soy, rice, and nut-free. And then my sister was diagnosed with celiac, and she has Hashimoto's, so she can't digest lactose, and she was allergic to corn. So I made a mix for her, and I had these 2 little mixes on my website, and then the autism community started reaching out to me for a yeast-free mix. And then my nephew was diagnosed with autism. So we have stuck to really trying to make our products as free as possible of the top 8 allergens. We're free of so many of those trigger foods that they work well for these kids. And the bean flours we use are pre-soaked, so they're easier to digest.
And it tastes good. That's the most important thing. It tastes really good.
And I truly believe there's healing that happens from the pleasure that you get from eating, and I want people to feel that they're not making a sacrifice by having to be on a special diet.
Where can people get them?
There is a store locator on our website, so you can check that out. And we encourage people to ask stores to bring it in if they have a store they like to shop at that we're not in.
We are here right now at the Bob's Red Mill Natural Foods booth. You know, you've heard me talk about them on the show before. I love them.
The 2 hot items are coconut flour and almond flour. They're just rocking because they please a lot of audiences. They've got the gluten-free. They please the paleo. They're not grain, so they can please a lot of audiences. And as far as the mixes, you know, we're always the pizza crust, the cornbread, and then our oats are still just right up there. So, and we have over 100 products now that are certified gluten-free. So we're trying to please all audiences with that.
We are here at one of the most popular booths, the Udi's booth. Tell us some of the things that might be good for a GFCF diet.
Perfect. So all of our products, with the exception of the cookies and the brownie bites, are milk-free, casein-free, and they're made in separate, dedicated facilities. So basically anything here other than cookies and brownie bites is good. For kids, the granola, because it's chocolate. And then we have things like double vanilla muffins that can double as cupcakes. And if you can do like a sugar-free frosting, milk-free frosting, then it's even better.
We are here with the author of Gluten is My and a very incendiary title.
Well, when I was diagnosed with celiac 2.5 years ago, my initial reaction was, "What? Are you serious that I can no longer eat a major food group?" It blew my mind, and everywhere I looked, I found inspirational, yay, yay, and I was like, this will not do. And I instantly started my blog, Gluten is My out of total craziness, and it developed into a book.
The subtitle of it is Rants, Recipes, and Ridiculousness for the Gluten-Free. So a little bit of everything then, stories and recipes.
Yes, it's personal stories. It's a guide on how to get through this time in your life. It's also, there's information if your child is diagnosed, there's travel information, and there's also a chapter on the future of gluten-free and what it means for all of us that are suffering through a lack of donuts.
We are here at the Enjoy Life booth. Tell us about what Plentals are. We just tried it, and it rocked our world.
Well, Plentals are a lentil-based snack, and the great thing about Plentals is 3 of the 4 flavors are dairy-free. So there's no gluten, there's no casein, all of our products are gluten-free and free of the 8 common allergens, which means they're free of egg, dairy, wheat, soy, peanut, tree nut, fish, and shellfish.
But it's not the only product that you guys have. You have a wide range of products that you guys carry, right?
That's right. We make 38 different products. Again, everything that we make is certified gluten-free as well as free of the 8 common allergens. So the great thing about Enjoy Life is when you see the Enjoy Life red logo on any package, you know it's safe and you know it's safe for everybody. And, a lot of people ask us, well, how do you make it taste so good? Because if it doesn't taste great, no one cares. And so we like to tell them it's a little bit of magic, it's a whole lot of love that we're able to do this and replicate all these different flavors. So, for instance, we have a brand new line of decadent bars, which are s'mores, cinnamon bun, cherry cobbler, and chocolate sun butter. And again, all free of the 8 common allergens. The other thing with all of our products, they're all verified non-GMO. So we have the most gluten-free products that are verified non-GMO by the Non-GMO Project.
For more information about a healthy, tasty, gluten-free diet, make sure to watch our cooking segment, What's Left, co-sponsored by Taka. Welcome back to Autism Live. I don't know about you, but I was so excited talking to that teacher, amazing young woman, and truly doing an amazing job. And I hope that she stays healthy for a long time so that there are more of her and that she trains more people, because that's exactly the attitude that all of our children, I'm going to get emotional, all of our children should be treated to people who are that passionate about working with them. Right as we were getting her online, she said, I get really passionate about this. And I said, good, because I do too. And our kids deserve to have people that are that passionate. And I want you to know and see that there are people who are that passionate, and they're in the classroom, and they're literally just changing the face of autism. It is an amazing thing. Okay, I'm going to get the emotion under control, because I want to talk to you about compliance and how we gain compliance in the summer. Whenever we talk about compliance, I always talk about it's the best of times, worst of times, and it really pivots on a dime, doesn't it? If I ask you, how did your day go today, and you have a child on the autism spectrum, a lot of times your answer is going to be based on how much compliance you did or did not get during the day. And let's face it, just in life in general, compliance is a big thing. If you're asking people to do things, whether it's in your job or it's in your home or in your classroom, and you're asking people to do it, and if they're doing it and doing it happily, imagine how beautiful life can be. Whereas if you're running up against people who are saying no or being physically aggressive to you, the level of enjoyment in your life degrades into nothing, right? And imagine how much more we can teach when we have children who are compliant and happily so. And for me, this is the key, that not only do we want compliance, but we want happy compliance. Kids who, when we ask them to do something, they do it with a smile on their face, and it's rewarding for them. How do we get to there? And how do we get there in the summer, and why is it important to have it on board when school starts? The first thing that we want to do when we're having a problem with compliance, and I swear I need to put this on my bathroom mirror so that I see it on a regular basis, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think I look in the bathroom mirror enough. Maybe I need to tattoo it on my arm. But the phrase that comes back to me that I learned was that if we're having a problem with compliance, it's because we're not praising enough. What? How can that be? How can that even make sense? But try it on for size. Don't take my word for it. As I always tell you, I'm not an expert in autism. This is what the experts tell me. If you're having a problem with compliance, chances are that we're not praising enough. That if we make sure that there's praise involved for doing what we want a child to do, it is one of the most motivating factors for getting them to actually do what we want. Now, for very little kids, or for kids who we're just starting out with and who don't have a lot of expressive or receptive language, we got to put that in place. Right? If they're not used to being praised, and if they don't find it rewarding enough to maintain good behavior, we have to shore that up first. And how do we do that? Not by beating it into them, by doing something over and over and over again, or physically, getting involved in a frustrating sort of scenario, right? That doesn't get happy compliance there. And it doesn't, not only does it not get happy compliance there, let's be honest, it doesn't get compliance there. But what we want to do, if we don't have those other things in place, is catch them doing something good. And we can start on this page with absolutely anyone, whether they're on the spectrum or they're not on the spectrum. We can change the dialogue of the day. We can change the tone and the goal of the day by catching somebody doing something good. Imagine that, you and your spouse have been at loggerheads, right? And you just can't seem to see eye to eye. But if you catch them doing something good and reward them for it, it changes everything instantly. And this is very true for our kids, and it doesn't matter whether they're 6 months old or they're 16. If we catch them doing something good and reward and praise them for it. Now, again, if they're not reinforced by praise, that reward and praise, doing them together, is essential, because what we're doing when we reward and praise together, we are building a structure whereby later on praise alone will be rewarding enough. But if it isn't now, we got to pair it with something. You're just putting it together so that, constantly pairing it, praise and reward, praise and reward, praise and reward. So eventually you're going to taper off that reward and just praise. It's easy to forget. Day to day, moment to moment, you're frustrated, it's hot outside, you're thinking, okay, I took off the afternoon to take the kids to the pool, and they're crabby, and they're making me crabby, and somebody says something, and you bark at the kids, and you say, why did I even take you to the pool, right? Because you're hot, you're tired, you expected to get praise for being the good parent that took them to the pool. And even in that moment when you want to say, hey, you guys should be nice to me, right? And I've been the queen of saying that. The best thing to do, the thing that actually works, is to catch them doing something good. Sometimes that means asking them to do something they already want to do. For all of you who are out there who said, I don't know how to catch my child doing something good, the behavior is so in the toilet that we can't get it back. I'm trying to catch them doing something good. I don't see anything, right? Okay. Then what you're going to do is ask them to do something they already want to do. What is it? Is it that, what's the big demand that they have, the big thing that they want all the time? Do they want to play in the water? Nancy talks about her son and how he wants to splash water. For my son, he wants to watch SpongeBob or play a video game. And so if I'm having a problem with compliance, I can say to him, hey, could you do me a favor for just a minute? I want you to play this and so video game and show me this thing. And when I do that, my son goes, what? Right? Everything changes in the moment. He goes, what? And I go, no, I have a question about it. So can you show it to me on your video game? Would you play that for me? And he says, yeah, Mom, I'd be thrilled to do that. And, and he's plugging things in. He's got his controller going, and we're there. And then we're already, that apple cart that was upset is already back on the tracks. And then when he plays it, I have to make sure, praise and reward, and say, oh my gosh, thank you so much for doing for me. And I'll lie and say, I got to write a blog about it. So I need to do some research, and I need to watch you play this game for a couple of minutes. Would you do that for me? Yeah, I'd be thrilled to do that for you. And then I go, thank you so much. You really helped me. Now, my son has enough receptive and expressive language right now that I can have that conversation. Can I tell you that when he was 3, I could said that, but I might as well have been talking to this pen for what reaction I was going to get from it, right? But back then, when he was 3 and he had virtually no functional communication skills, there were other things that I could do that I knew that he wanted to do, and then I would praise him and hug him. He loved hugs, but I would pair the praise with the hug and give him a treat. The hot dogs were a big deal, but a bigger deal for him was getting to watch. There was a DVD player that we had, one of those portable ones, and there was one of those old DVDs that they sell for $1 in the dollar store that had black and white cartoons. And I don't know why the black and white was more, he got it. I don't know whether color wasn't too intense for him back then, but, to be able to watch 30 seconds of a black and white cartoon, I could say, come here, I want you to watch this with me. Well, he would come here, and then I could say, good, coming here. That's my good boy. And I would, rub his back and hug him and, do whatever, give him a drink of something and make it so that he's like, yeah, when I come here, good things happen. Catching them doing something good. Now in the summer, and in some respects it's easier, in other respects it's harder because you got more sensory things going on. There's the heat and there's, all the different time constraints and the light in different times and different places and, different sensory things when you go someplace. But still, it is an ideal time. Summer is set up so that we have an expectation of, and there are things designed to help us to have fun with our kids. So all the more reason why we should work on compliance. Take our kids to those preferred activities. Take the time and remind yourself, I'm working on compliance. I'm getting work done while we're having fun. We're at the beach, or we're at the community pool, or we're here, or we're there, we're on a barbecue, but I'm working on compliance today. And I'm making it fun for my kid. And in doing that, when you get your kids set up and they're in a place where they think that complying is a fun thing to do and it gets them rewards, imagine what the school year is going to start out as. I would clue your teacher into and we just heard it from Elizabeth Douge, Teacher of the Year, that we can clue our teacher in at this time of the summer and let them know, here's what I'm doing. And I think it's so essential to have a praise-driven child and to say to a teacher, my child is driven by praise. My child is driven by that. If you give him praise for things, and if you see that he's, he or she is slipping off into no man land, find something to praise him for, and it gets him back on track. Man, a teacher loves to hear that because it's easy, it's efficient, it's really quick, and it doesn't cost anything to do. So compliance in the summer, a good thing to work on. Okay, it's past time, in fact, for us to go to the A word. This is an amazing ongoing documentary that's being made here at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, following a little boy, Jack Riley, who was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2. At this point, he's 3, so he's been doing therapy for a little over a year. His life has changed. He has a new baby sister. He's talking more and more. They can't always understand him. So that has to be worked on. So take a look. Let's see what's going on with Jack Riley today. This is the A word.
I know a cute little blue-eyed boy, and his name is Jack. Jack Riley. He got a big, warm, blue-eyed soul that makes your heart beat fast.
What's the phone? What are that? No. I don't understand. What are you talking about?
Jack Riley has been scripting a lot. He's repeating lines from movies, practicing speaking, which is great, but his use of language is not appropriate because no one understands what he's saying. Everyone has been working on redirecting his language to say things that are more appropriate and conversational.
Hey ladies! No, check it and say, hey ladies, let's play!
Jack, can you say, I'm excited?
I'm excited to play.
There you go. Okay.
I will play Jessica's house.
Okay, that's it.
What is it?
There you go. It is.
Jessica has been working on WH questions such as where.
I will play the iPod.
Okay, go get it. Go get the iPod.
Where's?
Who.
Who's there?
What.
What is it?
There we go. It's iced coffee.
Why.
Why are wearing glasses?
I'm pretending I need them so I can see you better.
These words accelerate his learning by giving him language to ask for info.
Oh, I just want to be silly. Am I silly?
You need WH questions for conversational skills, comprehension, perspective taking, and problem solving.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Suzanne. What's your name?
Jack Riley.
What color are your eyes?
Are blue.
How about mine? What color are my eyes?
Are brown.
Yeah.
That is the wonderful A word. I want to encourage you to watch this series at whatever point is useful to you. And it is a whole series. There's more than 2 years worth of videos. Emily's showing you the YouTube page that you can go to and see this important ongoing documentary. I know that many of you have asked and said, boy, I'd really like to see this with an older child, and we're in pre-production to start working on exactly that sort of thing, showing this kind of intervention for a child who's starting at a much older age. So I want you to know we hear you, and we're moving on it, but it takes time. Excuse me. But one of the things, since we've been talking about success in the classroom, here we have Jack Riley, who has worked so hard to get functional communication and spoken language going, and he's talking in full sentences. This child is rocking it. But he has a problem that a lot of our kids encounter, where he has met with a wall, that he has an expectation. I'm talking to you. I want you to respond in kind. I want to get the reward from talking to you, which is your acknowledgement and access to the things that I'm asking for, and to have this, he wants to communicate, but he's a little frustrated right now because he says something. He's gone to the trouble to access that part of his brain, put it in motion. He's speaking, and you don't understand him. And that is a recipe for disaster, right? Because the frustration that comes, and I can tell you with my own child, there are times even now when my child will say something and he still invents a word from time to time. So he'll say something to me and he'll say, or he'll get a word wrong. He'll hear it and he processes it wrong and say that, and I don't know what he's talking about. And I'll say to my child, I don't know what you're talking about. Give me some more information. And he'll try to, right? But if over and over again I say, I don't know what the word is that you're saying, my child gets frustrated, and he's old enough and has enough language that he'll say to me, you know what, never mind. And I always say to him, please don't do that. Mommy's old and my ears don't work. Don't decide that you're not going to talk to me because my ears don't work well. And my ears don't work that well, but some of it is still his diction, and we continue to work on diction. Now, it's summer, and there are lots of different things that we can do. We had Angela Persicki answer the question last week about, is speech therapy effective with kids on the autism spectrum, or is it better to be doing ABA? And really, it was case by case, but if there is a level of diction, this is the exact example about why we need to have speech therapists working, or someone working on diction, because we can work so hard to get the functional communication, to get the spoken language there, but if we can't understand it, we're going to get back to challenging behavior. A child of Jack Riley's age is going to kick or hit or throw something or swipe something off the table if nobody's communicating with him. And if he's making the attempt and we don't get it, if we don't fix it, we're going to get into some more challenging behavior. And maybe some of you have been down that path before. So we need to keep working on it. We need to make sure that when they do speak, that we reinforce the hey nani nani out of it. But we need to be working on strengthening those muscles. We're still working on the TH sound with my son, and we're trying to make it as reinforcing as possible. There are lots of interesting things that you can do that aren't the stereotypical speech things that you can do. If your child, depending on what their dietary things are, if there's something that they really enjoy eating, and you want to work on tongue skills, for instance, let's say that your child loves chocolate pudding, and for them, they're allowed to have it. There's no dietary restriction that they shouldn't be having chocolate pudding. Taking chocolate pudding and drawing like a clown smile, and then getting a mirror and saying to them, see if you can wipe off all of the chocolate with your tongue. Good tongue exercises, right? If your child can't have chocolate pudding, but they're really into applesauce, you can do that. Get the mirror. Make it fun. Show them what you're doing with it. One of the things that we love is that my son can't have cookies, but he still enjoys doing it. On A Minute to Win It, they had the cookie. I'm trying to think what the name of the game was. But you take a round cookie, like a sandwich cookie, and you stick it on the child's forehead, and then they have to lay back and move their face around to try to get the cookie into their mouth without having it fall off. That really exercises all the different face muscles. Jem is now newly into doing tongue twisters, and he really enjoys that. He didn't for many, many, many years. But making it fun, giving them something really thick to suck on with a straw. We got those. They make, I don't know if they have them everywhere, but here in LA they have boba here, which are tapioca. They soak the tapioca and it makes big balls of tapioca in the bottom of a drink. And they sell these straws that are just bigger, right? So we would take, and he could have very little fruit, but we would take a little bit of fruit and a little bit of a beverage that he could have, maybe a flavored bubble water. He really loves that. And we would crush up a lot of ice and put a little bit of fruit in it. So it's a very thick drink, and give him a thick straw, and then he'd have to draw it up, right? And have to really, to do it. So you're working on some of those muscles. But you really want to identify where the sounds are. Talk to a speech and language pathologist about, okay, this sound is these muscles. So you know what it is you're trying to strengthen for the individual child. Although it's not a bad idea to strengthen at all. So summer, great time to be working on that so that you get that bump into the fall, and they get back in the fall, and the first day when they're talking to their peers and they're talking to the teacher and they're understanding more, it makes them want to communicate more. And we can see that they're working on these things with Jack Riley and making it rewarding for him when he can be understood. Sometimes it means prompting and saying, say this. But if the child does that and immediately gets the reward for having done that after a period of time, it's going to become something that they're going to want to do on their own. Really, really important that we be able to understand our kids, and diction is a big part of that. And you can't do it without the muscles. You just can't do it. All right, we are going to take a break, and then I believe we are going to be joined by the fabulous Ashley Colis, who's got great stuff for us. So stick with us. Currently, in the United States, 1 in 88 children is affected by autism. 1 in 88 means something different when your child is the one. Recovery is possible. Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod, host of Autism Live, an online show about autism broadcast by CARD, the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. I'm also the mother of a child with autism. My beautiful son, Jem. You know our old joke? Guess what?
Chicken butt.
Chicken butt. So we're going to take the chickens. But things weren't always so easy. I remember when Jem was first diagnosed with autism. I used to lay awake at night in bed and pray for someone or something that could help us to get our child back. My prayers were answered by Dr. Doreen Graham-Pichet and the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. CARD treats autism and other related disorders using the principles of ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, which is the only scientifically proven effective treatment for autism. It is also recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the U.S. Surgeon General. About a year after we started treatment with CARD, we were able to see tremendous improvement, and we got our child back.
What grade are you in?
Second.
You are a smart cookie, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like school?
Yeah.
Do you have any good friends?
Yeah, Oscar.
Oscar is your best friend?
Yeah.
And my child is just one of thousands to benefit from CARD ABA therapy. Across the nation and around the world, children are making amazing progress and being given the keys to unlock their full potential.
We are extremely grateful for the amazing job CARD has done in helping our daughter. Our daughter today, just in 4 months, I think is a totally different child than when she started with CARD. I kind of see it as, it seems like her brain in a way was asleep, and now that we've gotten so many services, we've seen her wake up.
Did you have some gases?
Recovery is possible if you take the right steps, if you're willing to put in all the hard work. And 7.5 years, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's worth every little bit, and CARD's been there with us every step of the way.
I have 2 children with autism. I can't imagine a day without CARD or the therapists. They've been so instrumental in helping us with our kids and shaping their lives. And helping us help them.
Thank you, Christy and Big Alex.
Thank you, Jackie and Mariana.
We've tried other things before ABA, but the most beneficial thing has been ABA services, and I'd be the first person to tell any newly diagnosed family that you have to contact an ABA provider, and if you're lucky enough to have a card, you're very blessed.
Recovery from autism is absolutely a possibility. We've been recovering children for over 20 years. It's just a matter of identifying the child's medical needs, understanding the child's sensory issues, and then teaching the child all of the skills they need in order to function normally.
We know there's hope for autism. Autism is treatable, and recovery from autism is possible. Welcome back to Autism Live. Many of you are writing in and saying that you got here a little bit late and you missed the part of the program when we had Teacher of the Year Elizabeth Douge on. Oh, your microphone got folded under. So sorry. I'm listening to voices in my head because, I do wear an earpiece. So in any case, many of you have been writing in and saying that you missed the part of the program where Elizabeth Douge, who won Teacher of the Year award, works with children on the autism spectrum, and she was amazing. If you missed it, oh man, did you miss it. But I wanted to tell you, you guys are writing in saying, well, where can I watch it? Usually what happens is that tomorrow during our run through this show will air at some point tomorrow, but it will also probably Monday of next week, that portion of the interview will be up on our YouTube page. I want to encourage all of you to go to our YouTube page, subscribe to it, because when you do, we just need to get a few more subscribers, and then we'll be able to stream to you live on YouTube so you can be watching on your tablet devices, which you guys have been asking for. We're within striking distance. We just need a few more people to subscribe, and that interview will be up on Monday at some point. So tune into our YouTube page. Emily just showed it to you, and subscribe while you're there. But she was amazing, and I'm sorry that you missed it because she was incredible. But fortunately, you have shown up during a time that's also very exciting. Ashley Colis is here with us, and we call this Great Stuff with Ashley. But we have some very exciting news about you, as if it wasn't exciting enough that Ashley is about to get married to somebody that we also love here on the show. That was a pretty exciting thing to have happen in a year, but you have some career news to share with us. So do you want to tell us?
Yeah, well, as you know already, I sat for my BCBA exam in May, and I got notice, I think about 2 weeks ago, that I did pass. So I have my certificate number, and I'm waiting for it to come in the mail so I can frame it right away, but I'm really excited. A lot of hard work.
Yes, a lot of hard work. And so now when we introduce her, we will say BCBA Board Certified Behavior Analyst Ashley Colis is with us, which is very
I won't get tired of hearing that for a long time.
No, I mean, how could you? That's something hard fought for, hard won, and it really stands for something.
It does.
So very exciting. We're thrilled for you. I'm going to get emotional because I saw just a smidge of how hard you worked.
Yeah.
And it is, and when we had Elizabeth Douge here, she is working to get her BCBA.
Yeah.
We know it's a very important thing to get, so congratulations.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
That's got to feel like you can take a breath now.
It does, and I needed a breath. I just needed a pause because my life had been so busy and chaotic during that time studying. It's something that the board takes very seriously, and it's a difficult test with an interesting pass rate.
Yes.
And so I worked really hard for it, and then you kind of are in limbo for 45 days. I think it was about 40 days. And you're just hanging there waiting. And it's almost like holding your breath because you've been sprinting trying to get everything in your brain, and then now you're waiting to find out if you performed. And of course afterwards I thought, oh no, I didn't do well. But I was almost confused when I found out. I was like, are you I should maybe call. I'm not sure if this, what does this mean? Because it didn't come in the form that I thought it would. I thought it would be like a letter, like an admissions letter to college.
Right.
But it was much more like log into your account and you'll see that you have like a license number and you need to have CEUs and all those things. So it was exciting nonetheless, but it was definitely a big sigh of relief, and for my fiance Peter and us to all kind of just calm down and focus on the wedding a little bit.
Yeah.
And then get back into using it.
Yes. If for those of you who don't know, Ashley in the fall will marry Peter Farrig. I'm going to cry about that too. Peter was the very first therapist to ever come to our door, and he is family to me. You are family to me. So we're thrilled for both of you. I am
Thank
just
you.
emotional about it. Two nicer people who have more experience working with autism would be harder to find. I just don't know where you would find it.
Such an amazing compliment.
And you join us on a weekly basis. I have to get it together or I will just be a puddle the rest of the show. You join us on a weekly basis because not only are you somebody who has extensive experience working around the world, by the way, with children with autism. I'm a mess. But you are also somebody who's a really good shopper and you have really good taste, impeccable good taste. And you have a mind to what is useful to pair autism together with our kids, because we all at some point are going to go buy our children toys. We're all going to go get them learning materials, and we want things that further this path that we're on. We want to spend our dollars wisely to further the treatment.
Absolutely.
So you share things, we call it Great Stuff with Ashley. I just think it's a really good segment. And we've been talking all week long about success in school and how you sort of take the attitude of what can I do in July to set my kid up for success in the fall. So you've got some ideas for us.
Well, we talked before. I mean, I've been on hiatus for a little bit, but we talked before about reading.
Yes.
So that's something you can do, and we talked about Summer Bridge a little bit, doing activities to keep their skills that they've learned from the previous year on maintenance, maintain those skills, and then start working on skills that for next year, just exposing them. And then in the classroom, I mean, we're talking about a whole new classroom, a new teacher, potentially new peers or all new peers, or potentially a lot of the same, but there are going to be changes any way you slice it. So there are a couple things that we can do beforehand, and one of them is just talking to our kid about who their teacher is and that it's going to be a new school year and that there will be changes, because change is hard for everyone. I know I struggle with changes like that. And then talking about schedule. I'm really sometimes inflexible with schedule changes. So it's hard for me to get on a schedule.
Children take care of that for you, by the way. When you have a child,
I have a puppy child.
Well, and there you go. And you see that eventually they say, we're going to work on your inflexibility with scheduling.
You're on my schedule.
And we're not going to give you a choice.
Absolutely. And I'm going to be sick when it's not right for you.
Oh, yes.
So I'm learning that. But I know that also for our kids, it's difficult to understand that there's going to be a new schedule with new things that you've never done before. So my lovely friend Kirsten and I worked on this morning, and this was just a visual schedule. It's so simple. We just glued these on, but you could use something like Velcro and talk about stretching your dollar. We're using clip art from programs that we have on our computer, and we're just using like a little bit more sturdy paper. And you could, if you have a laminator or if you don't, you could just use Velcro strips or tape or anything, slide them in, make pockets, so that we can help our kids start getting used to the things that they're going to see. Or if they're not using a visual schedule yet, we can put things on that we're going to be doing during the day at home in the summer and get them used to that. And if you're working with a BCBA supervisor or another ABA supervisor, you can talk to them about having a schedule and helping your child learn how to use a schedule. And we printed out some more stuff like this. You can just add to it. So as there are changes, it's super flexible.
Yeah.
And then we can use icons like this. Like now we're doing this, and next we're doing that.
Yeah.
So we can teach the child also a lot of self-management skills along with this. Like they move things along.
Yeah.
And like, okay, when you finish this, you can change your board. So I think visual schedules are really fun to put together, and they're really great in the classroom and at home. I mean, I have friends that have kids that are like 3 and 4 and still at home, and they have a hard time with changes or making sure that they transition when they're supposed to. And so visual schedules are great.
Yeah,
in general.
Absolutely. And I think we all sort of forget how useful, if you take a couple of minutes to put together something like this, how useful it can be. But think about yourself. When you wake up in the morning and you think about, okay, what day is it today? What am I going to do today? What does the day look like? I don't know, I'm a very visual person, and I sort of create a visual schedule in my head before I ever get out of bed. And if I were going to wake up on a day where somebody had sent me on a vacation and I woke up and thought, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing today, that may not be the worst thing to happen to me, but I would certainly, the first thing I would ask somebody at breakfast, what are we doing today?
Yeah.
I want to know what's going on.
Yes.
And our kids do too.
Yeah, they do. And the predictability is something that they should not know every single thing that's going to happen at every single time, because that sometimes creates inflexibility.
Right.
And we see that a lot with some of our parents who explain a lot of things to their children. They know a lot, and they know when it's going to happen and how. And so when something changes, it's quite a shock, because they're like, well, no, I know everything about what's supposed to happen and what I'm supposed to do. So now this is completely different. I don't have any of that information that I'm used to having.
Okay, so we do need to have some stuff that's on schedule.
Yeah, sometimes it's just, mom will let you know.
Okay.
Or we're not sure.
Okay.
Because sometimes you're not sure. If grandma's sick and you have to go to the hospital, you're not sure what's for dinner, and you're not sure who's going to be home with them at dinner. So that needs to happen. But also, we still need to be organized, and I think it's important for all of us to have schedules and routines to keep ourselves regular and keep ourselves, it's how we self-manage.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I need to make sure I floss every night, and that's in the sequence of things that I do in the bathroom, including, brushing my hair and taking out my contacts and all those other things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So having that routine, whether it's in the classroom or at home, and then having a support for kids is really great. And a lot of teachers in mainstream use it anyways, and it's great. That's even better, because then not only is it already being used, and so it's not something that's only unique to your child that everyone is going to ask about in the classroom, like, why does Johnny have that?
Yeah.
It's something that other kids might think is cool, and the teacher might use for all the students as well.
Yeah. And I just want to, I love what you've done, and that you have the label, that you have the text there. I just want to bring home the fact that, your child might be 2 and can't read math, but how ideal is it that you paired there's symbols that have to do with math with the text, and then you're going to actually experience it. They're going to do it, and you're going to be pointing to it and doing all those things. So you're pairing all those things together. This is going to help your child to read.
Yeah, and this is what your schedule looks like when you go to high school or junior high.
Yes.
So then you're learning to read something like this, and then with the addition of the skill reading time or telling time, if you have the times there, like 8 o'clock to 9:50 a.m., this, it's going to be different in high school. It's on arts and crafts, but you're actually building up to a skill. So we'd be fading this,
right,
and then going to just a written schedule, which we do for ourselves all the time. I mean, that's what Outlook is.
Most of us live on Outlook.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to, acclimatize myself to that, because the last time I was in the work world, we didn't have Outlook.
Yeah.
And everybody here works on Outlook, and I'm always like, oh, okay, I'll get real used to that real quick. And I'm getting better at it. But I also want to say, too, for those of you who go, I love a good arts and craft project. I love it. Some of you don't. And some of you are like, I don't know how to find the icons that look like math, and I don't know how to put in math like this. The one thing that I would say to you is that keep in mind, early on in autism, I bought a computer scrapbooking program, which I think cost me $10. And it gave me the ability to do everything really easily. And then instead of I learned quickly, instead of using all the color printer ink, and that for my child early on, he needed to see a picture of kids that he knew. So we would take a photograph of something, and then my scrapbooking program, I could put put text over it. Like I would take a picture of him doing math or a kid doing math, put the text over it, and then you online send it off to Walmart or CVS or whatever, and the print costs you 14 cents. And it's an hour, and you got the picture of your kid doing it. You pop it into your visual schedule. It's easy peasy.
Yes, and that's honestly more creative than I can get sometimes.
Oh, really? See, I just think of that
that's
as
way
easier.
more work for me. I'm like, oh, let me just sit at the computer and get it done right this second.
Yes.
But you can make it as involved as you want, as tactile as you want, with different textures or lots of Velcro pieces and time, clocks. You can make it very elaborate or very simple. And we have some kids now that use a written schedule. It might be color-coded or it might not be. So there's such a range, and that's just like everything else we do in this field, it's all about what the kid needs and what the kid, what skills the child has at that time.
Yeah,
and what
so
we're
it's
trying to
very
work
child specific, but everybody can benefit from a visual schedule at some point.
Yes.
Somebody has a question for you here. They want to know, how did you start on your BCBA? It's a viewer of ours who's just starting out, getting ready to start college in the fall, wanting to work in the field of autism, and so he wants to know, how did you get started working towards your BCBA?
There are a couple different pathways to getting your BCBA. So if you're starting out and you're going to be getting your bachelor's degree, you would most likely be going for a BCABA if you weren't planning on getting your master's, which entails, I think, 3 classes. It might have changed. 3 courses and a certain amount of hours of field work, and then you can sit for the BCABA examination.
Okay.
So that, getting your bachelor's plus the test would probably be about like 5 years, plus the hours, it would probably be about 5 years.
Yeah, because you have to spend a certain amount of hours working in the field.
Right, and doing specific things.
And you have is it called a mentor, that the person who also oversees while you're doing those hours? I compare it to student teaching. I'm sure it's nothing like that, but when you're a student teacher, you have a teacher who's assigned to you, who checks that you're doing things properly, and then you get the experience in the classroom, but somebody is watching you do that and make sure that you're getting it done right.
Yeah, and we call it a supervisor or a fieldwork supervisor, and I was lucky enough to have Angela and Evelyn and some really amazing brainy people help me out. Sometimes Jonathan would throw in his examples and stuff, and that really helped me a lot. To surround yourself with people that you look up to, and the people that you want to be like. So I want to be a BCBA like this person, and you ask them questions, and if they're passionate, they're going to want to help you because they want other really great BCBAs that they can work with.
But you have to be supervised by somebody who is a BCBA.
Yes.
And for those of you who are looking to do that, there are many places that do that, but CARD has the ability
we
to do
have
that.
IBT, that is, I think, the Institute for Behavioral Technology. Training.
Yes.
Okay. That we offer BCBA mentorship and group classes, and I think individual as well. You can also go for your BCBA after you earn your master's degree, either as part of your master's, like I did at my program, or you could do at some programs in the LA area, or you can do it online, and then you'd also have to do your fieldwork hours. But you can start all that stuff once you start the classes. So I think for me it took a total of like 3 years. To get everything finished and then to be ready to sit for the exam.
And that was after your bachelor's? 3 years after the bachelor's?
3 years
total?
From starting my master's to taking the test.
Right. Yeah. So there was the first going to 4-year school, getting the bachelor's, and then 3 years getting the master's and the BCBA. And there are lots of colleges out there and that are very exciting, and I just want to throw out there that Endicott College, you can get a master's degree in autism now, which is pretty unique, and we have Dr. Mike Dorsey on from time to time, who is very instrumental in that program. And so you really want to look at where you want to go to school long term, where you want to go for your master's degree, what you want your master's degree to be in, because it could be in psychology or it could be in autism now.
Yeah, my master's degree is actually in education and curriculum and instruction.
Awesome.
So I studied a lot of different instructional designs and different curricula to to see what teachers are using. So I studied like a teacher, and so I could. With the program that I did, it was flexible. If I needed to work in a classroom and get a credential, then I could do a couple more classes and do that. So I wanted to have that flexibility because I think that we're starting to work a lot more alongside teachers, but we need to understand the teacher's side of it as well.
Yeah.
So that's something that I wanted for myself, but you can do psychology, or you can do behavior analysis. You can do all sorts of things.
There are all sorts of specialties, and so things that you want to look at as you're looking at where you're going to ultimately finish your bachelor's degree at and where you want to get your master's degree at.
Talk to people. Just ask them where they studied and what they recommend, and it's always changing.
Yeah. And there are many programs, you may have already said this in some form, but there are many master's degree programs where you can be on the BCBA, getting your master's and the BCBA track at the same time. So that they prepare you for, rather than taking a separate course or class, they're preparing you to sit for the exam.
In a way, I mean, you are going to need to prepare on your own, and everybody has their own way of studying. I did choose to take some courses to study, and I think everybody uses a certain computer program to study.
Yeah.
Regardless of what program you go to, I don't think I know anyone who hasn't used it.
Okay.
But not necessarily always preparing you for the exam, because I think that's a whole different animal from just understanding all of the information. That's putting it all together, because in your coursework or in your fieldwork you might focus on something like autism, and we might have a lot more experience in teaching and behavior management and not a lot of experience in staff training and all the other things.
When you sit for the exam, you need to know all of that.
You need to know all of it, and you need to know all sorts of things that you might not use, but you might come in contact with somebody that uses them, so you need to understand them, be able to interpret them, and be able to use one if necessary. So they're really preparing you for everything.
Wow. Well, we used to have a joke in our family about how, what do I need to have a master's degree in autism to understand this, right? And then when I found out that there was a master's degree in autism, and whenever we have Mike Dorsey on, he's like, Shannon, you should come, you should do this, you should, because for that program, I know you can do a large portion of it away, although you have to spend summers there. And they keep saying, come, bring Autism Live, come for the summer. I don't know. I think that there's a certain point at which my brain goes, I don't know. I certainly had to learn a lot to do the show, and I had to learn a lot to be an autism parent, but I don't know that I'm up to being in a
But how much would you have to contribute in a class? That would be so cool to be a classmate of Shannon's, I think.
I don't know. It scares me a little bit. But I will say that, there is a part of me that it intrigues me, the whole idea of, I got nothing else better to do. Let me go get a master's degree in autism.
I was in school with some parents that were getting their degree, and it was really interesting. I think their feedback about I would not use this curriculum because it would never work with my kid, and good luck trying it with my kid is actually really valuable, because we're always like, okay, this is going to work and it's evidence-based, but sometimes, it doesn't work. And so they kind of help to bring it back down to earth, not get so hyped up about every single thing that we see, or not think that one intervention is going to work for every kid. And they'll give examples or give examples of what did work, which is really cool to have that insight when you're going through.
Absolutely fascinating. We should take a break. Did you have more to share with us?
Yeah, I have a couple more things.
Okay, so we're going to take a break and come back and continue to talk with Ashley Colis. Stick with us.
You say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Hi, welcome back to Autism Live. I'm Lisa Ackerman, Executive Director of TACA. We're going to bake again.
All right.
It's my lovely assistant.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Lucero.
We've heard so many people go, I want a decent chocolate chip cookie for my kid to eat. We've got all our dry ingredients. So I've got the flour, I've got the flaxseed meal, baking soda, baking powder, our gum, or xanthan gum.
Great.
So we're going to get started in the mixer here. So there's our dry ingredients. I did have brown sugar. We did cut this down. And the one way to do that is my favorite, and that's maple syrup. I'm using egg for this recipe, but we could use more arrowroot. and also the flaxseed meal. So I'll go ahead and throw my eggs in here, which I love doing. So, and then the last thing is a shortening and gluten-free casein-free butter replacement. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this in. I've let it sit out for a while so it's nice and soft. So let's go ahead and mix this thing well. These are dairy-free, soy-free, and I really like them. Again, Enjoy Life is a great product. It's also net-free. And chocolate chips are a personal thing. I won't judge you if you use the whole bag.
I would.
I know, right? So here we go. Great recipe. It's the nice consistency. Everything's ready to go, so we can enjoy our cookies here in just about 10 minutes. We want to give it a kind of like a couple inches between each cookie. You know, a lot of people are really concerned about aluminum, so what I've done is I laid down my natural brown parchment paper, and Jen's helping out putting the cookies down. So we're separating the nice baked good that's all organic from the aluminum cookie sheets. So let's go put these in. So magic oven allows me to pull the last ones out. And voila.
Yum, so good.
Really great cookies. I'll let you have a bite so you can do my Vanna White there too. Yeah, these taste pretty good.
Really good.
We're going to come back later after I gain 5 pounds and eat this entire tray.
For sure.
You know, more feedback is good. So if there's something you want us to convert, like another recipe or maybe a relative made, just let us know. autismlive@gmail.com. You can go to Facebook, or there's thousands of recipes on the TACA website just waiting for you to explore. You can go to TACANOW, TACANOW.org, and we'll see you next time at Autism Live.
Bye.
You say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild, let's get wild.
Welcome back to Autism Live. Our very special guest in the studio right now is BCBA, Board Certified Behavior Analyst, newly Board Certified Ashley Colis. We call this segment Great Stuff with Ashley, and we're thrilled that we didn't have Angela Persicki with us today. She's under the weather, and so we got to keep you a little bit longer, and we appreciate that you're giving of your time. We've been talking with you about the summer months and getting our kids set up for success in the fall. You already showed us a beautiful, making a very simplistic or involved visual schedule and how that can be so beneficial to our kids, getting them on a schedule, letting them see what's happening. And I understand you have other stuff for us, too.
I do. So I just wanted to recap. We've talked about camp also. So right now your kid has some new friends from camp that are hopefully going to school with them.
Yeah.
They've been reading, and they've been working on maintaining their skills from last year. And now we've got them ready with their visual schedule, and what else is there? So on the same subject of reading, we have new friends coming into the classroom or a new teacher, and a lot of kids, especially as they get older, and I mean older around like 5, 6, 7, they're going to be more curious about differences between them and their friends.
Yeah.
And sometimes they are uneasy about differences. They're not, or they are reluctant to make friends with someone who is different from them. So there are some really great books that are about children with autism or about kids that are different. The teachers I know really like to use in the classroom when they can, so as long as the parent is comfortable with the diagnosis being shared. But there's one that's by Beverly Bishop, and it's called My Friend with Autism, and I'm really big on reviews. So on Amazon, these ones have really good reviews, and I've actually read that one. It's really good. And I believe that one's a workbook. It's like a workbook also. So it's pretty big, and it's got a lot of activities in there. And it's just understanding autism and what this means and what your friend might do sometimes and how they might interpret things.
I love this. Tell us the name of it again.
It's called My Friend with Autism, and that one's by Beverly Bishop.
Beverly Bishop, and we can get it on Amazon.
On Amazon.
Okay,
yes.
Great.
And the other one is really awesome, and it's called Can I Tell You About Asperger's Syndrome?
Oh.
And this is for friends and family. So a lot of times we might also have a family member who's quite uncomfortable or doesn't understand what it means to have a diagnosis of autism or Asperger. So this book can be helpful for them too, and I really like how it's written because it's there will be like an illustration and then an explanation of like say, for example, sarcasm, which
Yeah.
is something Angela's talked about, I'm sure, on here before. And
She does a lot of research on that. Yeah.
And detecting sarcasm is really challenging.
Yeah.
Or reading people's tones of voice or facial expressions. So it will have little illustrations of it, very simple ones, but it also will have like an excerpt, like, this is what's really hard for me, and this is why. And this is how it could be less hard for me.
Wow.
And I think that one's a really great one, and that one is quite popular in the community. So I would definitely check that one out if you're curious about Asperger's syndrome as well. I think it's a really good book.
I would imagine that, as much as it says Asperger's, I would imagine it would work for kids on the autism spectrum
Absolutely.
as well.
Or any type of developmental disability where we're looking at being delayed or different from peers. I think it's definitely going to be something that's useful in the classroom or in the home or with family members. And we're talking about a little bit more complex skills that have to do with theory of mind and some of those, but I know there are more simple things as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it can help teachers too. There is another book for teachers, and I believe it's called You're Gonna Love This Kid. And that was written by a teacher who's taught children with autism in her classroom.
Lovely.
And it's always hard at first, and sometimes the most challenging kids end up being your favorite kids.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that you know that too.
Yeah. I was saying, we talked a little bit about the 4 usual suspects, I think it was on Monday, and talking about kids who are attention-seeking and how attention-seeking kids can be a teacher's worst nightmare, your worst nightmare, because you can't get anything done. If there's a kid who is needing attention, he or she is going to do anything and disrupt whatever you're doing until they get that paycheck. And so they're the kid that you go, oh, but if you learn how to give them attention on a regular schedule so that their needs are met without having to do the challenging behavior, they will become your favorite student.
Because if you can turn that, whatever they're going to do for attention, you can turn it into the things that are useful for you.
Of course.
And
they
can still get the attention. Exactly.
Yeah. They're the kid who passes out the papers for you. They're the kid that does everything. And I had said that when I was teaching and teaching in a high school setting, the second day that I taught, I had one student who threw a double A battery so hard at my head. I was standing in the front of the classroom trying to teach, and he threw it so hard at my head, and it whizzed past my head like I could hear it. It hit the blackboard and cracked it. That's how hard he threw it. And, I was a little intimidated. And apparently he had done that with another teacher who had come in, and that was that teacher's last day.
Oh.
And this was him saying, are you going to stay? Because other people have left me. And I heard the whiz, heard the crack, didn't even know what it was, and continued teaching, right? Because I thought I don't even know what it was. I'm not going to give it attention. But of course, when the class was over, I examined the blackboard and saw the battery and talked to one of the other kids and said, oh yeah, no, he's done this before.
That's interesting.
The following year, he was in another one of my classes, and I nominated him for Student of the Month, and he won it. He was like we'd gone that far. But, when I think about that second day, he was not a fan.
And I'm sure that you weren't either, and that's okay.
No.
And as teachers, I mean, there are some days that it's really hard, where it's a day it's all crying, for example, and that's hard. But I can't tell you how many of the kids that I started out with that were all crying or all, assaultive behavior management for hours. That ended up being my favorite kids that I've ever worked with. So
absolutely.
This book is amazing, and I wish I had written something like that. You're going to love this kid. I'm not sure of the author, but I can send it to you guys because I think it's a good book.
Okay.
And the last thing I just wanted to mention is if you're going to have therapists coming into the school, which we do sometimes, we might have sessions there or we might have a shadow, make sure you have all those things that you need. So clickers and or tally counters, timers, if you're using pencil grips at home, if you're using weighted pencils, any of those things. And then make sure you have a comfortable backpack because nothing's going to irritate your kid like a really heavy backpack at the end of the day, and he's throwing it at you and he doesn't want to talk about his day either. So make sure that they're comfortable, and also cool clothes too. Make sure you find out what the other kids are wearing. And I think sometimes it's brushed off, like I want my child to wear whatever they want, which we do. We want our kids to have creative license. Yeah. But it also, when you also want your child to have social skills and be approachable, then you have to consider that. And it doesn't cost a lot of money. You can shop wherever you want. Just make sure that you understand that that's important to other children.
Yes.
So you should be conscious of it.
And, you know, I think it must have been you that said this to me last summer, because I really have, and there are a lot of people who say, oh, I don't want my child wearing character license stuff. I don't want branded. I know.
My
there are people
fiance
who
loves
say that.
Batman, so there's going to be a ton of character license.
I have a friend who, you know, her daughter loves Disney princess everything, and she says, but I just don't want to participate in that. I get that. Mm-hmm. But I think it was you who had said to me last summer how important socially that kind of stuff can be. Yeah. And when we went back to school shopping, and I'm going to give a shout out to the JCPenney, that we went to JCPenney, and they had this huge table that was covered with character t-shirts, and we let Jem go to town. And I want to say that we got him 10 different ones, and there was an Iron Man one, and there was
each or something.
It was
crazy.
Ridiculously crazy,
I've been
low
to
price.
That men's shirt sale for one of my siblings, actually.
Yes. And they had Batman ones, and they had Superman ones, and there was Spider-Man, and there was Angry Birds, and there was Ninjago, and there were all these things. And so, you know, he picked out like 10 of them, and it became mostly, there was SpongeBob, I mean, everything. And he wore those throughout the year. He's still wearing them in the summer. And the thing about it is that every day he'd be on the playground, and some kid would come up to him and start a conversation and say, hey, man, I like your shirt.
Or where'd you buy that? Or tell their mom, hey, my friend Jem at school got this shirt, and I want that shirt. Your kid, we don't always think about it, but that's how it is at school these days. The kids are paying attention to what each other wears.
Yeah, it was currency.
Yeah.
It was social currency,
and it's
it
a
made
conversation starter.
Yeah,
it's like it's a prompt, and it's also who your kid is. If your kid loves SpongeBob, or they love Angry Birds, which was really cool for a long time, then other kids are like, oh, hey, have you beat that level? Yeah. And you automatically are giving your kid an inside track to being cool, which is what everybody wants in some way or another. Right. To have friends and be cool with your friends.
And depending on that, you know, he was in 4th grade last year, and I think probably in high school it's different. I don't know what the conversation is in high school. But at this grade, it was cool, and, you know, it didn't completely make him bully-proof, but I think that it helped to insulate a little bit. And if you can do that for a $5 t-shirt, look, I don't know about you, I'm all about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so good things to keep in mind. You mentioned the pencil grips and the weighted pencils. Mm-hmm. Now, the pencil grips, for people who don't know, those, you're talking about the ones that look like a triangle from the side?
There are so many different types.
Okay.
So, depending on what the issue is, so if we're working on the tripod grasp, we might use one of the ones that's like the triangle. There are some that are for pressure.
Okay.
So you can't, so they keep our kids from pushing too hard.
Okay.
There are weighted pencils. So there might be some things in particular your occupational therapist is using with the child. Like there are certain scissors that are easier to use.
Okay.
So if your child is going to be doing some arts and crafts and you know that they can cut with these scissors, but they cannot cut with regular child-proof scissors or children's scissors, then send them with those scissors so they're not singled out from that activity.
Okay.
So a lot of those things are they're like accommodations or modifications that you can make just to make their writing better, or to teach them to use that certain grip or pressure on their paper, or if there's a type of paper that you're using at the time because you're working on the size of their writing, all those little things.
Okay. I'm especially interested in those kinds of things. Is there a way for next week that we could talk about some more of those and have some examples? Because I want to know about the weighted pencils. We've never done that. And I think sometimes we just don't know about it.
Right.
And I also want to talk about the backpacks a little bit next week too, because this year especially there's a big discussion, and I know we're getting ready to pick the backpack for the new school year.
Yeah, we'll have some good stuff, some top-rated backpacks that are safe.
Included, there are ones that come with Kevlar. It's a difficult conversation, but I gotta tell you, I'm considering it. So I'd love it if we could talk about those kinds of things next week. That would be awesome. Okay, so we'll look forward to that. All right, have we exhausted you?
You have.
All right. All right. So we're going to let Ashley go, but thank you so much and congratulations on being a new BCBA. Love that. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back to finish out the show. Stick with us.
Hi guys, welcome back. For the month of July, I figured we're going to do something again that's more for outdoorsiness since it's summertime and I know your kids are going to be home and you need some activities to do inside and outside. So for July, I figured we'd make a lantern. So let's get started. The materials you'll be needing are wax paper, an iron, crayons, scissors, popsicle sticks, pencil sharpener, a glue gun, and tape. What I did first is that I have my iron heating on medium heat, okay? Make sure you keep this far away from your child because I won't want them to get hurt. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to take my wax paper and I'm going to make 4 sheets. I'm going to cut out a thing that's about 12 inches long, okay? Now that I have my wax papers cut out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my crayon, and if you have kids around, which I hope you do, I'm going to grab them and have them make some crayon shavings. What the shavings are going to end up doing is making it a design. And again, this is another time for you and your child to talk about colors. You can discuss like what would happen if you mix, some blue crayons and some yellow crayons. What would that produce? When you and your child have finally decided there's enough crayon shavings on your wax paper, what you're going to do next is you're going to take it and fold it in half. Now that I have it folded in half, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an old newspaper and then I'm going to sandwich it in between. And then with my iron on medium heat, I'm just going to have it gently on there just so the wax melts into the paper and becomes one thing. Let's take a peek inside. As you can see, all the crayons have melted into it, making this beautiful kind of like rainbow-ish color. All right, now I'm going to do this with the other 3 that I've made, and then we're going to assemble our beautiful lantern. All right? So here are my 4 finished panels that I'm ready to build into the lantern. So what I'm going to do is I have these popsicle sticks, and I'm going to build them into a square and glue them together with my hot glue gun. While you're building your lantern, it's a good opportunity to work on math skills with your child. You could discuss how many sides does a square have versus how many sides does a cube have. Okay, I'm going to do this another 3 more times, so I have one for every single side. All right, well, now that I have these 4 different sides built, I am now going to take these wax paper things that I built, and then I'm going to put glue on here and smash it on there, okay? I know the wax paper is way too big for it, but what we're going to do later is trim it. All right, so now they're all done being glued together. Now I'm going to take my scissors and trim along the outside. Now that the 4 sides are done, I'm going to take some tape and I'm going to line the edge of it so they will stay together to make my cube form. And voila, here's my lantern, but it's missing something. You're right, it's missing a light to illuminate it. So what I'm going to put in here is an LED light. I'm definitely not going to put a real candle or else this thing's going to catch on fire, and that is a real safety hazard, okay? So here's my little guy, and I'm going to turn it on and let's see what happens. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that pretty nice? And it's not even dark yet. I would love if you shared your pictures of your finished crafts. But until then, craft on. Bye, guys.
Can you see me flying by your side?
Welcome back to Autism Live. We are here at the end of the program, at the end of the week. So I've got some programming notes for you, but while I'm doing that, I'm going to try to double task. My computer won't access Facebook. I don't know why, so I'm trying to get it on my phone to see, because I know you guys have written in a bunch of questions. But a couple of programming notes. We'll be back here on Monday. We're not here tomorrow. Tomorrow, we are going to be going to Travel Town, which is a museum here in Los Angeles that has a bunch of really old, fabulous train cars that it's really amazing. We used to go there all the time when my child was little. It's a great place. It's free. And so we're going to be doing some filming there to share with you later on. Also, on Monday when we're back, there is a rumor going around that we'll have Alex Plank back. We hope so. Alex has been working very hard on the series The Bridge, which just began last week, and it's getting critically acclaimed, lots of praise for it, for its leading character, who is identified, I don't think they actually identify her on the show, but the producers are identifying her as someone who has Asperger's. Been a lot of reviews about that, and high praise for how well it's being done, because Alex was hired as a consultant and has been working very closely with the leading lady from that show. So we encourage you to check out The Bridge. It's on FX. It's very, if you have a weak stomach at all, I'm somebody who has nightmares, so if you're like that too, then I can't access this. If you have a weak stomach, it may not be the thing for you, but I would check out at least a few minutes to see how the character is being portrayed. It's very, it's a beautiful portrayal because it's not screaming at anybody. It's somebody who's very successful, but she's got some issues that she's running up against, and there are some characteristics that are very well done. And that's where Alex has been. Alex has been on set. I know we were referring to it, but he couldn't really talk about it very much, but it's out there in the public now. People understand that Alex himself is on the spectrum and that he has been working, he's been credited. There's a great review of it in Salon magazine, and John Elder Robinson, who's a very famous author and an individual on the spectrum, he's on the spectrum. His son is also on the spectrum. He wrote a great review of The Bridge, something that you might want to check out. So hopefully we'll have Alex back on Monday. We've got some really exciting guests for you. In particular, we're going to have some experts on Fragile X that are going to be with us on Wednesday with Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson, and Dr. Doreen Grambachet will be back with us actually in the studio live on Wednesday. So get your Ask Dr. Doreen questions on, because she will be back in-house, and I know that you guys have been storing up some questions. I've got a bunch of questions for her, but make sure that you're writing in your questions so that they get precedence for it. We also have some other events that we're going to over the weekend. It's sort of a big autism weekend around here. We've got lots of different things that we're going to be attending, and we hope to be bringing you a bunch of new video pieces that entail getting autism out and around, building awareness, but finding ways to take our kids out in public, get that reinforcing time with them, working on compliance in different ways, and showing you that it is possible to do it. We don't need to hide at home. So I hope that you'll stick with us through that. I hope you have a spectacular weekend and that you find great things to do over the weekend. I'm really looking forward to spending some time with my son at these things. He's going to be there filming with us. We're out of time. So until Monday, please give your kiddos a hug from me. Bye-bye for now.